We're back for another episode of Record Straight.
Well, hello everybody.
We've swapped seats today.
We've had two in this room, two podcasts.
I like this.
This is the second one,
Yeah.
and we've swapped.
I like this side.
It's fine.
You're near the heater, keeping warm.
I am.
With
Yes,
your
it's
your
cold
current
in here.
outfit.
Bless that creative hub for having us, but my goodness, does it get a bit chilly without that heater?
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a topic that's really close to what we do and the service that we provide.
Yep.
And it's something that, we have conversations with artists about every single day, whether they be our clients or whether they be guys that we're just talking to. And it's the topic of social and digital strategy as it relates to artist development. Now, just a precursor to this, our podcast, as always, and our entire business is about dealing with independent artists who are looking to develop sustainability out of their projects, whether that be creating income to a point of creating a career out of this or creating enough income to be able to funnel back into their project. So
Totally.
if that is not you, then this is not for you.
I think also too, though, our social and digital strategy, while yes, we're focused on independent development, it can help for a developing and
totally.
label artist as well. I mean, we work in a capacity where there are a lot of label artists that need this service as well, or need this help, because it's not something that is, there's no course on it. It's not something that you need to.
Well, it's forever changing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
sorry,
the way that people see, the way that people discover music, the way that people discover content or discover people that they like is going to consistently change with the use of platforms, with algorithms, with all of that kind of stuff. And I think that's a really good place to kind of start. Is the change from social media into interest media, and the kind of seismic shift that we're seeing at the moment, regarding followers or view counts or things like that are increasingly meaning less and less and less if we cannot then convert them into repeat listeners, or we can't convert them into another area of the project like touring or like merchandise sales or like that. The reality is that we can get 1 million streams on a record pretty easily. We can pay for that. We can get 1 million views or pay for 1 million followers. But if we then can't transfer those into a ticket buyer, or we can't transfer those into someone who's going to buy a little bit of merch or spend time actually ingesting what the project's got to offer. A
community member.
We haven't got a project.
No.
So
at least not a financially sustainable project.
No, absolutely not. And so I think what might be a good start to this is to talk about, again, our experience, kind of what we do, all of that kind of stuff, because that just adds a little bit more context and I guess a little bit of validity around what we're actually saying, because we really are at the forefront of this. We as Cartel, we operate in artist development and label services. And as part of that, we offer a service called social strategy.
Yeah.
And that's where we work with a range of different artists, whether it be independent, developing, legacy, label related artists. And we will generally get contacted either by the label or a management company or directly from the artists themselves to be able to come and help develop their narrative, develop consumption, or develop a core audience or strategy for a core audience with the kind of prospect of developing sustainability. That was a really long-winded. I've got to fix that
elevator pitch.
That's not an elevator pitch. That's a fucking novel. But essentially,
that's very clear.
Essentially, we are contracted out either on a campaign basis where an artist is working on an album or is working on a specific, thing, whether it be a tour or whatever it may be, or we're contracted out for a specific period of time, helping X artist develop X thing.
Like a album campaign. Or
Totally.
A touring campaign or something like that.
So I just want to throw it to you for a second.
Sure.
In the last 2 years, what do you think has been the biggest change on social media? So let's exclude search engines like Google and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about or DSPs like Spotify and Apple. Let's talk specifically social media.
And this is in our opinion and what we've seen. But I think the biggest change that we're noticing and something that we need to combat almost weekly, monthly, we change our service based on this all the time, is audience consumption. And I think that's one of the most important ones. And mostly because the way an artist integrates into social media will fall into one of two categories. So it'll be very, very content heavy or very, very narrative heavy, which is great. But they lack the ability to potentially engage. So there are some artists who are very, very good at engaging, and then their content it doesn't balance out. There needs to be a way for audiences to consume your social presence that then funnels into your actual content, which is streaming services or live performance or merchandise or something like that.
Driving consumption to something.
Correct.
Yep.
And I think that the biggest change, to answer your question, is artists' understanding and ability to be able to drive that consumption. I think. We work with a lot of independent artists, and almost daily it is about, what content do I post? And do you think, what frequency should I post per week? Or how many months should I go before I do another Instagram live?
This is G'ing me up.
And I know that we come from varying opinions. There definitely needs to be a balance of both content and audience engagement. I really, really love working with artists through their content because it's a way to develop their narrative to their existing audiences. I think that having campaigns and social media content strategies around releases or around tours or shows is really fun and creative and can be a really good way to express creativity for an audience member, and it makes them part of the story. I already know that you're going to refute me, so go ahead.
Keep going.
But I think what artists lack is that they then don't tie in that creative strategy with how they're actually engaging with their audience and why the audience should care.
And this is where we agree.
And this is where we agree.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead on your opinion because I know that you have lots.
The biggest change I think I've seen in specifically socials for the development of artists is, I've mentioned this, but the kind of change from social media to interest media. When you open up a platform as a user, I can't remember the exact number, but it was something really hectic. Like 73% of the time you open up a platform, a social platform like Instagram or TikTok, you are 73% more likely to be shown something you're interested in first rather than who you follow.
Yeah.
So following, likes, views has not been rendered irrelevant, but it has been replaced by the way that people are algorithmically discovering things. And I think secondary to that, I think the way to develop any act, whether it be an artist making music from their bedroom, whether it be a legacy act that, has toured the world a million times, but is trying to create that engagement online, whether it be an artist who is nationally recognized, but hasn't got, an organic audience, or whether it's just someone looking to put out a single, the only way to develop on social media is through repeat exposure. It is the only way. Repeat exposure develops discovery. Discovery develops fans. Fans give you data. Data deployed properly helps develop sustainability. Now, before you jump in.
No, that is exactly what it is.
Right, we're definitely going to clip that up because that was fucking awesome. Make note of that, Ethan. That was dope.
Take notes, eh?
But I think following that, the one thing that I do want to say is repeat exposure isn't only through content. Now, this is where all artists, majority of labels, majority of industry go wrong, is they think the only way to develop that repeat exposure is through content, and they could not be more wrong. So
content is part of the strategy, is not the strategy.
Content is a tool.
Yep.
It is not a strategy.
Yep.
Repeat, content is a tool. It is not a strategy, right? So I don't think we differ on this. I think that, where I spend most of my time is not on the content side, because not that I think it's useless. I just think that artists are too swept up in the idea of that. And what I feel like that does is it limits them to their own profile.
Totally.
Where I'm more concerned with is, number one, how are we targeting our audiences? Number two, how are we supplying data to the platform around who our audience is based on who we're engaging with? And then 3, how does that create repeat exposure?
Definitely.
Content is the end point of that.
Yeah.
And so I think in terms of what I see the biggest changes are, I see the biggest changes being artists kind of not overthinking their content and more so thinking about the experience of the audience that they're trying to develop. And I think that that's way more important than, new song out now, please listen, because no one gives a fuck.
No.
That's
you're
the
right.
reality.
That is the reality.
And I think in terms of content, I'm waffling on here and I apologize.
No.
I think in terms of content, there's 2 types of content. There's promotional and then there's narrative building.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've spoken about pillars, which we don't need to go into, but but outside of that, that's all there is.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're promoting, for example, to an audience that doesn't care, how do you grow? You don't.
You're right. And I think for independent artists listening,
I'm on fire today.
It's really good. For independent artists listening, the way that you merge the content and the narrative promotional drivers of your actual content that you put out online and the audience engagement. Do you want to talk them through this or would you like me to?
No, we can jive.
We can jive. Okay. So releasing content in line with music or shows or anything like that should be used as part of a promotional tool, as part of a promotional strategy. Building narrative, which is why I really enjoy working with the artists and why, shameless plug, but Cartel is quite good at the social and digital strategy of an artist in varying degrees of their artistry.
Totally.
Is because I really enjoy the communication and the narrative side of content and what that does to build and how that showcases an artist's personality and how that gets across.
Yeah.
And you're really passionate about how that narrative.
I'm a bit more analytical.
Well, how that narrative then gets replicated and shown within a platform so then artists can actually develop.
100%.
And I think that's where Cartel is really, really great. But for artists listening, I think having an understanding of your artist project and what you're trying to communicate is really important. Putting out content is really important. The frequency and the consistency is important to a degree.
What time should I post?
That kind of stuff doesn't really matter. But the consistency of it does, because it does help to inform the algorithm on each of the social platforms.
Mm-hmm.
You show up consistently, that's another touch point.
Mm-hmm.
But then it delves into what you're doing on the platform to help build on that content, that algorithm. And what that is what Ant's talking about, is who you're actually communicating to, how you're getting them to come across your profile, how you're getting them to engage with the content that you are posting, how you're getting them, audience members, across and converting them to streaming platforms, how you're getting them across to convert to ticket sales. There needs to be a really comprehensive strategy of both.
I think, and that's a really good segue. I think where I want to take this is, number one, how do we create that? And then number 2, how do we generate data off the back of that? Mm-hmm. And so the one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is UGC is an example. UGC is a thing called user generated content, and specifically for music, it is the process of when a content creator that isn't you is utilizing your distributed audio in their content. So that could be for Instagram Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, etc. And it is a form of promotion to be able to amplify your catalog. Mm-hmm. Now, UGC is the end point where a content creator is using that sound, is the end point. I don't necessarily want to talk about that part of the process right now, because for, I would say, 95% of the artists that are listening to this, or even the industry that are listening to this, they're probably not at that point of development where they have the inbuilt audience to be able to have that be effective.
Yeah.
What I do want to talk about is the first 2 steps of it. Mm-hmm. So number 1, how we target our audiences organically outside of content. Mm-hmm. And number 2, how we engage with them, because that's the data point, right? And, targeting audiences is actually quite easy. You can go through audio, through reference artists. You can go through tags. You can go through specific niches that you deal with that link to your content narrative. Just go and talk to people. Social media is social. It is not content media.
You're very passionate about
Oh,
this.
mate.
I think also too, if you want to find audience members, generally artists have a really good understanding, or hopefully have a really good understanding of their project. And so they can kind of make a generalization of what their audience member, their ideal audience member who are interested in their music looks like, whether it's female or male, and the target demographic and the audience.
What they're interested in.
Age, what they're interested in. You can be kind of brutal and make a generalization, and then find the people off that generalization until you can make it quite specific.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we because social media in 2025, 2026 is so mature, and what I mean by mature is audiences have a really good understanding of how to find what they like, and they also understand what they like and what they want to consume over a longer period of time. What we're trying to do is we're trying to tap into that to be able to develop a project. So I think, being able to then go and engage, spend 10 to 15 minutes per day targeting your audiences, going through and actually leaving meaningful dialogue or creating meaningful dialogue specifically with your listener. If an artist thinks that is spam, or they think that is like not beyond them, or their music should connect, you're wasting your time straight out.
Well, it's just you're missing out on the one half of what social media can provide you in terms of audience development.
Sorry.
No,
so
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so targeting is step number one. We do that through research, through reference tracks. Oh, sorry, I just knocked the mic. We do that through reference tracks or reference artists that you feel like may have a similar audience to you. We go down those rabbit holes and we look specifically for people who are on the platform, specifically engaged within a niche that links you and that reference artist together. So it could be fashion, it could be food, it could be a topic, it could be anything. And guys who are consistently active within that platform. Do not worry about their likes, follows, views, etc., because these are your end listeners.
Yeah.
What you will come out of this with is a really, really good list of people that you can continuously touch and continuously develop dialogue with, which will generate data for the platform. Doesn't matter what platform it is, around who your audience is based on who you're engaging with.
Yeah.
Okay. That gives content organically posted the best shot at reaching the right audience. This is a little bit nerdy now, but when it comes to putting digital ad spend into marketing, particularly for platforms like Meta, when you're creating things like custom audiences, you can then retarget those people, meaning they will get continuously hit at multiple different touch points, and we can essentially coax them into discovery. Not coax them, but actually elicit discovery through repeat exposure. There's obviously nuances to it, and each artist is going to be different, but I do think that it's a really important discussion around, like, content's part of it, but the actual engagement is another side of it.
Yeah.
And
for artists listening, you need to do both. I'm so sorry. There's no other way around it. We say it every single podcast.
Totally.
You need to work harder. You need to do everything that is available to you in a time frame and in a capacity that is best suits you.
Yeah.
So we're not being strict and like, you need to do everything perfectly 100% of the time. Do it within a capacity that suits you, but make sure you're touching both the content side, which is the fun side, and I understand fully because it's fun for me too, but the engagement side as well. You should be able to convert. It's less about getting 300,000 followers. Convert 300 people into ticket buyers.
Yeah.
Convert 30 people, but 300 ticket buyers, super fans, is way more impressive. It's way more industry, like it's way better for the industry for you to develop into. It's way easier to gravitate into a team. It
develops leverage.
It gives you something.
Yeah.
Every artist, your whole action, your whole goal of socials should be the engagement part. It should be developing the data, gathering email lists, gathering people on your broadcast channel, gathering people who are going to give you their phone number so you can text them privately on a WhatsApp chat. Like it should be develop for an independent artist to develop a core group of fans that can then support you to do whatever. If you get 300 people into a room and you get 300 merch sales, you can funnel that money back into your entire project. It funds you for like a year. Like how crazy. And that development, that financial stability will be able to allow you to build.
I think.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think
rambling.
No, that was so great. And it leads into the next thing, which is fan data and why that's important.
Oh, it's so important. It's probably the most important thing, going back to your question.
Artist development from here on in is not about going wide and developing worldwide awareness, because awareness means nothing if we haven't got an audience that is able to buy in. Where fan data is important is it's your actual proof of concept, essentially. So what you get out of a strategy like UGC, so the targeting and the engaging, is you get an understanding of who your audience is, and over time that naturally develops into a fan base. And then out of that fan base we can filter, and we filter data. So that may filter into a broadcast channel, which develops a closer connection with you as the artist.
Correct.
It then develops into a Discord. It then develops into a WhatsApp chat, however it develops. An email database.
And you're able to then utilize all of that information, distill it into, okay, this is my actual listener.
Totally.
And go direct to them. So instead of going to your 300,000 followers and going, you need to listen to my track. You can take that 30 and that 30 will listen 30 times a day. And that's how you develop a fan base.
Direct to listener is everything now. And, I think even talking about how we leverage that into other parts of the project, like if you're able to get, let's say, 30 people onto an email list, developing an email list or developing text message is really important. And there's great platforms that allow you to do that. Platforms like Laylo, Co-Brand, a whole bunch of other stuff. But if we're able to develop an email list, that is an audience member opting in their details. That is essentially them telling you, I am a fan of you and what you do. That information is so powerful, because as that develops over time, if you're looking to develop into a touring act, for example, you can go to a promoter, you can go to a booker, and you can say, based on X amount of data, this is how many tickets I can sell.
Million.
And that promoter or booker will go, book this act. They're a sure thing. We can get access to their data. Yep, let's book them. That is so much more important than just posting shit and hoping for virality.
Yep.
I think to finish this, because I'm going on a bit of a rant today,
wrap it in a bow.
I want to talk about virality and how much of a fucking joke it is.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Now, I don't want to name names, okay? And we're not going to, but we could name probably about 4 to 5 campaigns that we've either been a part of or that we know of intimately that are quote unquote viral overnight sensations.
Yeah.
Right? For majority of those have had a 6-month lead-in plan, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in, a team globally that is working it.
Yeah.
And a plan to be able to capitalize on that, to be able to further the project or consumption of that project. For independent and developing artists that are listening at a local level, if you are trying to focus on virality, you are focusing on the wrong thing.
Well, it's not in your control, so it shouldn't be focused on.
Now, that's not to say that virality overnight doesn't happen, because in the very, very rare case it does. So for example, we clip this up and this clip goes viral and we put a song on it and, that artist, everyone's using their sound, right? That's great. But the issue then becomes not how do we capitalize on this? It becomes how do we back this up? And so you're in this consistent loop of trying to just get views and likes and follows, and you're missing the point. And what happens is that artists tend to generally, after a year or two of that, crash out.
Because views and likes and follows, even
meaningless.
streams to a degree,
They're meaningless.
mean nothing if you can't get bodies into a room, if you can't sell tickets, if you can't sell merch, if you can't develop an email database of 300 people that are wanting every part of you.
Fan data and ownership are the future of artist development.
It's
and that's
crazy.
And that's the reality.
Yeah.
So, you know, if anyone can take anything out of this episode, I think that number one, content is a tool. Number two, social strategy is not just posting content, but the experience of a potential fan on the other end.
Mm-hmm. It's content and engagement.
Yep. Fan data is the most important metric.
Yep.
So how are we directly connecting with our audience and how are we making them feel a part of the project? So number one, how do they discover? Number two, how do we keep them?
Mm-hmm. Nurture them.
And then three, how do we keep them? And outside of that, that is how you develop a project.
Taken through the train again. Discovery into...
Repeat exposure develops... So hang on. I'll break it down even further.
Okay.
Repeat exposure through communications, through content, through engagement, through comments, through likes, through DMs, through listens, through ads, through all of it. Repeat exposure develops discovery. Discovery develops fans. Fans give you data. Data deployed properly helps you develop sustainability. That is the format of artist development now. If you are not doing that, you will not develop. Simple.
Well, I think that's perfect and we'll leave it there. I love that. I think that that's perfect. And if you have any questions, if you need any further advice, if you want any kind of social or digital strategy help, Cartel Australia on Instagram, just email us, reach out.
info@cartelaustralia.com.
Anth will rant at you all that you would like.
As we say, I think this has been an interesting episode because it's something that we deal with daily as a service.
Oh, definitely.
And so it's not talking about ifs, buts, or maybes. This is the strategy.
This is what, totally.
And this is what we are dealing with
and
daily.
And it's very informative.
With a range of different acts, from again the Legacy Act to the nationally recognised act to the person who's making beats in their bedroom. You know, it's still, there are different levels of the same thing.
Totally.
And it's repeat exposure to discovery, fans, data. That is the format. As we said, I think, you know, this was a great episode. I think it's going to be really informative.
Yeah, I like it.
Got to show our personalities off a bit. I was on fire today. I wish all the podcasts were like this. But we'll be back soon for different episodes. Hoping to get some different people within the industry into, so you don't just have to listen to our babble. But until then, peace and
thank you so much for listening, and we'll speak with you soon.
Imagine they made it this far. If you made it this far, thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.